What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the second part to the Scream 5 2022 spoilers. Now, again, this is a spoiler video, so if you want to click off, I completely understand. I would appreciate you hitting that like button before you go. Helps out the channel, helps get this out to people that do want spoilers. If you're somebody that is on the fence when it comes to spoilers, like you don't mind a little bit being spoiled, but you don't want too much, it's probably best that you click off this video as well, because there are some pretty significant information in regards to the upcoming Scream 5 film, and I don't want anybody to have anything spoiled that they don't want spoiled. So either way, I appreciate you. Again, hit that like button before you go, helps out the channel. If you are somebody that doesn't mind spoilers and you're still here, but you haven't seen part 1, I highly recommend you check out part 1, link down in the description below. It's not super significant, but it may help you follow some of the points on this video. But either way, I'll leave it up to you. And if you're still watching this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification so you never miss an upload, and stay up to date with all things Scream. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. And 3, 2, 1... Okay, if you're still here, sorry for that longer sort of intro. I just wanted to make it clear for everybody because this does seem pretty legit and it is some serious information, especially if you saw part 1, then you know exactly what I'm talking about, and it's pretty telling. But without further ado, again, let's get into this. This is the final part. Let's get into reading it and talking as we did in part 1. So here is this, and then let me just bring this up. All right. So let's jump right into it. It's a soft reboot in the Scream 1 through 4 or canon, and this uses connective tissue to establish a new storyline to move the franchise forward. So again, lines up with what has been said by the producers. How they said it's its own sort of movie, but it is connected in a lot of degrees with the past 4 films. So that sort of ties into the information that we have. The future of the franchise very much belongs to the new cast by the end, and it feels like a new beginning. The transition is handled with care and honors the franchise's legacy. Again, I've been saying this since the beginning, since like one of the first Scream videos I've ever done here on this channel, was that, the whole point of these films is to move in a different direction. Obviously, it handles their legacy with care and honor. That now, you could kind of speculate with that and suggest that, okay, that means that the OG3 survive. I still don't know about that. I think Sidney most likely will survive. As far as Dewey and Gale, I wouldn't be surprised, especially, again, if you saw part 1, then it kind of pushed it towards the direction of, like, something serious is happening. Because I just feel like if none of them died, with all of the information that has been leaked and spoiled in these spoilers that we're talking about, they would have just said, like, hey, the OG3 are alive. I mean, they covered pretty much every speculation that everyone's had in regards to this upcoming film, except for that. They just kind of left that up in the air. Yeah, it could be to kind of tease us, but I don't know. I feel like, not obviously, I don't think that they'll kill all 3 of them in this film, but I think it's very likely that we could see 1 or more die, and you can still maintain the legacy of the franchise and honor them through a death, especially if it's an honorable death. It's through, heroism or something along those lines. But let's move on. So the whole movie works, even the Sam Hank reveal, which we talked about in part 1. Again, if you haven't seen part 1, recommend it. It would be easier for you to understand that part. But to summarize, that Hank is the father of Sam. So with that big reveal, that sort of revelation in this film, I think it works too. I mean, most of us down in the comments, if you saw part 1, then we all were kind of in the same mindset of, like, that really works. That makes a lot of sense. If you haven't seen any of the previous entries, it's a tight and sharp plot, so refined, and offers enough to work as a standalone or an entry point for new fans. Again, that's what the production Radio Silence said in the interview. In the interview, they said this is just as much a continuation, but it's also its own standalone, which in reality pretty much every Scream is. Like, yeah, they've all had connections and ties to each other, but you could watch Scream 3 and never see any of the other ones. You know, maybe the end point you won't really understand, but for the movie itself, you kind of can, you know, you can watch it and it's fine. Same thing with 2, same thing with 4, so on and so forth. But having the context of the previous films will add a lot because there is so much layered in there. Again, ties into everything, so it makes sense. Early on, there's a really funny scene where the teens are throwing around theories of who, why the killings are happening. That's really interesting to me because it's like we're going to be doing that as an audience perspective. It sort of adds another sort of meta aspect to this film because we're going to be doing the same thing. You know, all of us are going to be in the audience like, who could this be? Why are they doing this? You know, what's the motive? What's the reasoning? It'll be really cool to kind of see the characters in the film doing the same. I just think that's a fascinating little thing there. They're mostly not as familiar with horror movies tropes as you would expect, which I mean adds to the realism. I mean, how many people are movie experts? You know, there's always that one person or whatever, but it makes sense that a majority wouldn't be. Mason and Wes are hilarious in the scene. Their Dumb and Dumber dynamic is a lot of fun. The group lands on different theories, which leads to 2 characters being killed. We find out later it's because it was pulling attention from the plan to frame Sam. Now, again, if you watched part 1, they were trying to frame Sam to be the Ghostface. Everything adds up. It makes a lot of sense. That's why that they're trying to piece it together. So clearly they killed 2 of the characters out of the way because they were sort of ruining that framing Sam plot, which leads me to believe that during this discussion they're going to be kind of stumbling on what's really going on, which means somebody there having that discussion is probably one of the Ghostface. So keep that in mind as you're watching the movie. That probably got to be a pretty good clue. Yeah, so there is reference to Judy's lemon squares, a proper belly laugh. Again, the lemon squares things in Scream 4. That was a funny moment. That was where Gail was like, your lemon squares suck. Like, so I could see them sort of poking fun, especially Judy being in this film, Gail being in this film. That their sort of tension and headbutting makes a lot of sense. That would be the sort of plot for that joke. More on Sam and Hank. Hank was a serial womanizer. We've talked about that. I've even talked about that in other videos before this theory came to light. So that makes a lot of sense. And Tara and Sam's mom was dating him while also dating Tara's father, Sam's assumed father. Wait, Hank was a serial womanizer and Tara, Sam's mom, was dating him while also dating Tara's... Oh, okay, so yeah. So they're half. Sorry. Like I said, I'm reading this along with you guys. So I didn't actually know this. I mean, I had read the email that was sent and some points, but I didn't actually like go in depth into this actual spoilers because it's more fun this way. It's easier to have a discussion if I going into it blindly. It wasn't hard for her to hide Sam's paternity, which I mean I guess makes sense, especially if she had another boyfriend, etc. And not all women show. I mean, you see it all the time. There's a lot of women that are pregnant, and I mean, there's cases where people are pregnant and don't even know it until 6-7 months into it. So I'm curious to see how they kind of go about that. If it'll be somewhere along those lines, or it'll be like she hid it from Hank. That would make a lot of sense too. So I'm curious what direction they go with that. There's a scene at the house party where multiple characters are pleading their innocence, throwing back to the Sid, Randy, and Stu. One of many subtle deja vu moments. That's awesome. The part where Sid is at the door and Stu and Randy are like, oh, he's gone crazy, he's killing everybody. Like, so that's kind of cool. That I really like these subtle, because even in part 1 we talked about several subtle sort of reimaginings of the original, not direct carbon copies like they put it, like for like, but a very, subtle, under the radar type of homage to the original. I really like that. And so the last part is Sid doesn't interact with Ghostface until the final act. That's interesting, and only has one call with him/her right before the killer reveal. She reads him/her for filth. It's savage. It's a full circle moment for her character. I wanted to stand up and cheer. I wonder if what they mean by reads him/her for filth, it's savage. I wonder if they're referencing several months ago, there was a supposed person that watched the rough cut of Scream, and they referenced a line that Sidney says in that film. Like, when are you, something along the lines of, like, when are you people going to learn that, I make the rules, or something along those lines. And then she kills the ghost face. So I wonder if that is the line that they are referencing here. If that sort of ties into that, it would make a ton of sense that that would be the case. So I find that really interesting that that they added that part. And so yeah, I mean, it's also really fascinating that she doesn't have any interactions with Ghostface until the final act. So I'm curious to see how long it takes for Sidney to actually get involved. Now we know she only filmed 20 days, and I've said in past videos that she's probably not going to be in a ton of the film, probably about the same time as Scream 3 as far as runtime was, which I think was like 30 minutes in total. So roughly you probably get about the same, and you probably get little glimpses and flashes throughout with Sidney. Obviously she's not the main focus, but she has an important role. That was the thing that we talked about in the original spoiler part 1 of this, is that she's not the primary focus, she's not the essential, she's not the only final girl, but she has a significant part and sort of saves Sam in a lot of ways, and so on and so forth. So I really find this fascinating. I really do. I this is probably the most believable spoilers we've gotten. Obviously, like, I'm not talking about like the trailer date and stuff like that, because to me that's not really spoilers. But though we got it a little earlier, it's not like major spoilers. But this part 1 and part 2 of this, in my opinion, is the most believable we've gotten. It's a great story. Everything adds up. Everything makes sense from a plot point, that from what we know about the film. It lines up from the producers and stuff. Again, always take this stuff with a grain of salt, because who knows. I know I'm very appreciative of my sources. I've worked very hard to sort of build my reputation in order to receive those sources, and I always screen them. I get tons of people emailing me and messaging me all the time, like spoilers and stuff, and so I always try to keep it like, this seems believable, this seems realistic, unless it's just like a fun video, which then I just tell you, like, hey, like, this is just nonsense. But this seems very legit in my opinion. But as always, this is a discussion. I want to hear from you, so let me know what you think. Also, do you want me, as I mentioned in the first one, do you want me to go, make a sort of theory video, an expansion video, give my overall opinion and take? Because, we just kind of did brief breakdowns. But would you like me to go more in-depth video on each one of these sort of bullet points? I'd be more than happy to do a video for each of these. But obviously only if it's something that you would want to hear. I know a lot of you said for the first part you want that, so I'll definitely do that. But let me know about this one as well. But yeah, let me know what you think. Do you think this is believable? Do you think it's not? Yeah, I think it's a great story. I think it really gives us a peek behind the curtain. And I love it too, because it's not too much. Like, it's enough to where, like, it's significant spoilers. Like, all this stuff was very significant and explained a lot of the movie, but it's explained in a way, in my opinion at least, it's explained in a way to where it doesn't ruin the film, if that makes sense. Like, You know, because that's always my fear with these spoilers and stuff. I mean, I don't mind it because it's kind of like my job here on YouTube to talk about all this stuff, get all the updates, get all the information, and give it to you. But at the same time, I know a lot of people, they like spoilers, but they don't want the film completely ruined. And I felt like this did a nice job. Whether this is real or not, it did an excellent job of just explanation and diving in. And whoever created this, if it is fake, did a great job. And this is a film that I personally would love to see. So even if it's fake, fantastic job whoever put this together. It really was an amazing sort of piece. But again, as always, let me know what you think. If you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, again, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification so you never miss an upload. Stay up to date with all things Scream. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I will see you all in the next one. Thank you.